We now actually know what happens when we die. In some of the biggest news of the century, we've now got evidence suggesting that your life carries on after you die, and it gets a lot crazier than that.
I'm back, boy, Fittie to the E, and today we're gonna be taking a look at these creepy TikTok videos. If you guys like the videos, try to get to 2K likes this video. Like, come on, guys, we could get to 2K likes. We've been stuck at like 1K prison. Come on, bro. 2K, we got it. These are the winners of the riddles, and of course, I have to add some honorable mentions. Some of them are always funny. Like, you don't even gotta be early. As long as you could like get it right or just be funny, you might actually get into the video. So, but today's riddle is: I go all around the world, but I never leave the corner. What am I? If you guys know, comment it down below. I swear to God, if everyone gets this again, I'll rip. No cheating, because y'all love to be like, oh, ChatGPT knew this. No cheating. You gotta use your brain. Think. If you guys know the answers, put it down in the comments. If you guys like the chain, make sure to check the link down in the description. And as y'all know, these videos get crazy, so watch at your own risk and make sure to subscribe.
I think I can. At first, it looks like little X is talking to Trump and then to the reporters. Let me show you. Trump, protect me. You need to go away. Hang on, let me break it down for you. A lot of people think little X was saying, quote, "You're not the president, you need to go away." And you know, that looks close, but it just didn't look right to me. And here's why. When you say the word president, your mouth doesn't move forward a lot. It's kind of like flat. Let me show you. President. Okay? The word protect, the O is forward. Protect. I'm gonna show you again and I'm gonna slow it down. Trump, protect me. It just doesn't look like president. Protect me. You saw that forward O? So the other reason why I think he said that is if you watch this full interview, you can see any time a reporter was chatting while his dad was talking, little X shushed them. And he was so sassy and so cute. So it kind of makes sense if he was asking for support while he criticized adults. I'm gonna show you some more. Be quiet now. I will too. Shut your mouth. Daddy, can we go see the starship? Okay, last one has audio.
There are sort of checks in place, so it's not just us just going in and doing things willy-nilly. It's in partnership with the agency heads, and I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what.
I don't know how I would feel having the world's richest man's son telling me to shut my mouth. That is crazy.
Vete. Tranquilo, agarra el bote, agárralo, tranquilo, agárralo.
Oh my God. This dude just got swallowed by a whale and the whale spit him up. Wow. That's like a real Jonah. Was it Jonah? I think it was Jonah, right? That got swallowed, like in the Bible. That's like a real life Jonah situation. That is crazy. I mean, he got spit out, so he's lucky, unless he would have been a meal. Good for that guy, man. Yeah, apparently that's what's going to happen to us if the asteroid that they're predicting should hit us in 2032 hits New York City. I personally don't think it's going to happen. They say it's like a 1 in 50 chance that it might happen right now, which is kind of high. It actually has a higher chance of hitting us than you dying in a car crash right now. So
We now actually know what happens when we die. In some of the biggest news of the century, we've now got evidence suggesting that your life carries on after you die, and it gets a lot crazier than that. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family because you don't want to miss this. So an old woman was passing away, and as she died, they had her hooked up to a machine which was monitoring her brain. Now what scientists got from these scans after she passed away was these photos, which don't look like much right now. But what these show is that a part of the brain, specifically the part of the brain that processes memories and experiences, was still active after death for around 8 minutes. And this is crazy because years ago I made a video saying about the 8 minutes after death and how your brain is still active. They did tests before on a man who died and found similar things, but nothing as concrete as this. As I say, from these scans, it showed that the brain was still active for around 8 minutes after this woman passed away. And specifically that she was processing memories, i.e. her life, flashing before her eyes, the common term you've probably heard. So this suggests that when you pass away, your life does flash before your eyes, you get memory flashbacks and maybe relive parts of your life. But it also links into the theory I've spoken about before and many people have said. Think about when you have a dream. Sometimes dreams can feel really real and time's different, time dilation of course. Sometimes you'll have a dream, it feels like an hour, but you wake up and it's been about 2 minutes. Well, the same might be happening in this 8 minutes after death. Reliving memories, what feels like days, weeks, but is only in the 8 minutes. Or maybe even like a lucid dream, creating some sort of new reality. So what's to say you're not dead right now in that 8 minutes, and this is all just a figment of your imagination.
You know, I've always thought to myself, who was the first person to come up and coin the term, your life flashes before your eyes when you die? Like, did they have to die? But then if they're dead, how would we know that? I mean, now we know because of the brainwaves, but like the person that first said that, like, did they die and come back and be like, yeah, my life flashed before my eyes, and then, like, you know, I died and then it came back. So I just want y'all to know that you're like, you know what I'm saying?
Countries and their best inventions, part 2. Canada, peanut butter. Italy, thermometers. France, parachutes. Denmark, Lego. Ukraine, postal codes. China, paper money.
Did you guys know that these Disney stars were arrested and some even spent time in prison? Starting with the one that shocked me the most, Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. He went to prison for manslaughter. So in 1991, way before The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody aired, Phil killed a 21-year-old girl while drinking and driving. But he was released early and only served 1 year because of the work he did in prison. Next, we got Debbie Ryan, who played Bailey Pickett on The Sweet Life on Deck. When Debbie was 22 years old, she was arrested and charged with a DUI after she crashed her car with another person and severely injured them. Okay, this one's crazy. Back in 2018, Adam Hicks, who starred in Zeke and Luther, was arrested after going around pointing guns at people and robbing them with the help of his girlfriend, Danny. He ended up getting only 5 years in prison, and now he's pursuing his music career and he's on TikTok. Now, this one definitely caught me off guard because Mitchell Musso played such an innocent kid on Hannah Montana, but he was arrested for public intoxication on August 26th of this year when he apparently stole a bag of chips from a store, but he denies this ever happened. Mitchell was also arrested back in 2011 when he was 20 years old for a DUI. Let me know which one surprised you the most because mine was Mr. Mosby.
The worst ways people have died, part 2. First off, this one's so awful you'd think it was a hoax. A mom would repeatedly push her kid on a swing for 2 days straight until he eventually passed away. It was later revealed that she was extremely mentally ill and was sent to a mental institution. Next, a man in his late 30s from the Philippines decided to tackle his fear by finally going on a roller coaster with his family. But once the ride started moving, he began freaking out and began squirming and kicking in his seat. And when the ride flipped, he slipped right out and met his end. Finally, what started as an amazing day eventually took a turn for the worse. While still celebrating from her recent engagement, this woman stumbled and fell off a cliff that was as tall as a 6-story building, falling to her death.
Be careful when looking at old pictures. You might see the man with the upside down face in one. Click the plus, drop a like, tag a friend, save yourself. The upside down man is one of the meanest and the scariest monsters alive. He personally feeds off of death and fear, so be careful. Behind me, as you see him in this tragic car accident. Supposedly this picture is from the 1960s, and this is when he started to appear. He himself cannot make the events tragic, but he can make them 10 times worse. By making simple arguments turn violent. My question to you guys is, have you looked at old pictures?
Some more amazing facts that you didn't know. In North Korea, the year is actually 111 2011, not 2021, because their calendar year is based around the birth of Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea. In 1912, Teddy Roosevelt was shot prior to giving a speech. However, noticing that it missed his lungs, since he wasn't coughing up any blood, he proceeded to give a 90-minute speech. In Armenia, all children aged 6 and up are taught chess at school as a mandatory part of their curriculum. Schools that ditch schoolyard rules are actually seeing a drop in bullying, serious injuries, and vandalism, while concentration levels in class are increasing. As it turns out, giving children way too many rules hurts their development. This is because fewer rules require critical thinking, whereas simply obeying instructions requires very little critical thinking. Sand from the Sahara is blown by the wind all the way over to the Amazon, recharging its minerals. The desert literally fertilizes the rainforest.
This is one of the craziest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So almost 100 years ago, there was an aquarium in Australia that had a giant tiger shark on display. And the legend goes that one day, in front of groups of families, the shark threw up a human arm. And not only is that true, but it opened a murder investigation. Also, this week's episode is all about Australian true urban legends, so make sure you listen. So after the shark threw up the human arm, the police had to figure out whose it was and why it was in the shark's belly. Well, the first thing the police noticed was the arm was cut cleanly, not jagged like it was from a shark bite, meaning that the arm was intentionally cut. So now it's clear that this was a murder, but whose arm is it? Well, one thing they noticed is that the arm has 2 boxers in a fighting stance tattooed on it. So they end up writing about that in the paper, and one guy who was reading it goes, "Hey, that sounds like my brother's tattoo." His brother was a man named Jim Smith, and he was involved in the seedy underbelly of Sydney society. Jimmy ran insurance fraud scams in Sydney, and he was just involved with a lot of bad people. And the last person he was seen with was one of Sydney's most notorious criminals. The story has a lot of twists, including how was he involved with the last guy he was seen with. And there's a lot of fun Australian urban legends like the story of the Button Man, so make sure you check out this week's episode.
3 criminals who got caught for the dumbest things. In 2011, a man from Florida attempted to rob a convenience store with a squirt gun filled with juice. Luckily, the worker recognized the juice as juice that they sell, and he called the police. They then tracked him down and arrested him. In 2014, a man from Australia attempted to rob a gas station with a banana. He had peeled the banana and used it to simulate the shape of a gun. The man was also arrested and charged with armed robbery. In 2018, a man in California was breaking into a house, but he didn't realize that he had accidentally dialed 911 while he was still in the house. The operator heard noises in the background, so he sent police to the phone's location, where the man was then arrested.
Dude, getting arrested for trying to rob a store with a banana is crazy. I didn't really think you'd get armed robbery for that one though, because you really weren't armed. If you made it this far in the video, remember to like. We're trying to get to 2,000 likes.
3 facts that could save your life, part 5. If you ever find yourself trapped on a thin piece of ice and have no way of getting back to safe land before it breaks, lie down on your stomach and start slowly crawling back to exactly the way you came in on. That'll put less stress on the ice, making it almost impossible for it to break. Most people understand flags on shorelines, but the purple flag confuses most people. The purple flag being the warning that the most dangerous sea creatures are in that exact area, such as jellyfish, stingrays, and of course, sharks. If you ever feel like puking while you're scuba diving, vomit into the regulator. Do not remove it from your mouth. Removing it from your mouth will make it impossible to reapply it on your face, meaning that you're probably pretty far underwater, and once you remove that from your face, you probably will most likely drown. Like and follow for more videos.
Remind me never to go to Spain, because what the hell is this? This is a water slide, as you can see, one of those tornado water slides. These are human beings in comparison to that, just if you want to see how big it is. And it is in Siam Park, Spain. And no. I've never been on a tornado water slide. I hate water slides in general, but this, you could never catch me on, especially with this thing chilling there. It gets like super close to you too. Like I watched a video and this is how close you get to it. Like pretty damn close. Probably like 10 to 20 feet away from it. Nah, I'd be so scared that I'd fly out of there and into its mouth. And then when you come out, its whole dragonussy is facing you. You know what? I might have been too harsh on this guy. He has nice biceps. Hear me out. Hear me out. He has a killer set of nails, though. I will tell you that much. He's styling. Also, I just noticed his neck. I'm not gonna say anything. So yeah, how do you feel about this one? Would you go on this ride? He kind of looks like a rat. He has like a rat face, but like a dragon body. Hear me out. I could take him in a fight.
I'm partnering with Netflix to talk about what happened with O.J. Simpson and how there are some details you might have missed in this insane true crime case. For example, how there was a witness who saw him get rid of evidence, how someone recognized his voice, and what the last person who was with O.J. before the murders remembers. On the night of June 12, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman were found dead outside of Nicole's home in Los Angeles. Their cause of death? Stabbing. Right away, Nicole's ex-husband, O.J. Simpson, became the police's #1 suspect. Now, who was O.J.? Well, he was a former, well-known NFL player who married Nicole in 1985. Now, their marriage was not good, and in 1992, they finalized their divorce. When Nicole and Ronald's bodies were found, police honed in on O.J., suspecting that he might have a motive for killing his ex-wife. This investigation led to an insane manhunt entailing a huge car chase, frightening witness statements, and worldwide coverage. This was the most famous celebrity ever charged with murder, and it was a disaster. You may think you know everything about the case, but there might be some details that you missed. Netflix's new series, American Manhunt: O.J. Simpson, is coming on January 29th to highlight the lesser-known details of one of the most widely known criminal cases in history. There are a lot of surprising details that I didn't know about, so make sure to watch Netflix's new series and let me know what you think about the case down below.
The oldest things in the world. Oldest president to be elected, Joe Biden, 78 years old. Oldest person to ever live, Janine Calment, 116 years old. Oldest tree, Great Basin, Bristol Cone Pine, 5,000 years old. Oldest pub in England, Old Ferry Boat Inn, 793 AD. Oldest country, San Marino, 301 BCE.
Wow, him and Trump are tied. I'm pretty sure Trump is also 78 years old. I wonder if Trump's gonna go through some like brain degeneration. Like, you know how they be saying once you get older, your brain kind of like just like starts shutting itself down. And you could clearly see with Biden, sometimes he can't even pronounce his like words well, or he can't even remember what he's trying to say. Hopefully that does not happen with Trump, because if it does, that means we're screwed. But
this boy was shot by an officer while he ate McDonald's in his car. On October 2nd at 10:45 p.m., a police officer named James Brennan approached a vehicle that was parked at a McDonald's in San Antonio. The officer believed that the car belonged to the person who fled from him the night before during a traffic stop.
I got a vehicle over here that fled from me the other day. It's in the parking lot. Get out of the car. What?
So, did you see how the officer opened Eric's car door without any heads up at all? I think anyone would panic in that moment. So when he opened the door, Eric reversed his car, hitting the officer with his car door. So then the officer proceeds to open fire on Eric as he drives away. By the way, you can find this video on YouTube. Eric was unarmed but was shot multiple times and was on life support. The police chief did say that James' actions were unjustified and that there is a policy that prohibits officers from shooting at parked or moving vehicles except if their life or someone else's life is in immediate danger. I just don't think it was necessary to do all that, but James was arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault.
That was insane, man. Even if he did drive away, why would you just start busting at the kid? Like, what? I don't know. Like, it's a situation like that. Like, I'll sit here and be like, listen, I get it, you know, maybe he was in fear of his life or whatever, but he got hit by the door, flew back a little bit, and then started shooting. Nah, that's very irresponsible, mostly for a police officer, so.
3 ways to survive a skinwalker. Number 1, don't ever whistle in the woods. No matter if it's daytime or nighttime, that's a calling signal, meaning that you're letting the skinwalker know exactly where you are. Number 2, pray as hard to whatever you believe in as possible. Skinwalkers are demonic creatures, being so that they were transformed this way because they are cannibals and have killed before. Number 3, white ash tree rubbed bullets may be one of the only other ways to stop a skinwalker in its tracks. Of course, most people don't have those laying around, so if you're in an area where you think you may or may not be able to run into one, you may want to pack those just in case. Don't forget to like and follow for another episode.
Hear me out. 223s. If you know, you know.
The 17-year-old unalived his parents and was found not guilty. On September 8th of 2024, 17-year-old Colin Griffin called 911 to tell them that he had gotten into an argument with his mother, Catherine, at his grandmother's house. He claimed that after the argument, his mother fell onto a knife. According to him, his mother was still alive and bleeding from the neck. As Colin was waiting outside for the officers, he was covered in blood. Officers described his demeanor as cool, calm, and collected, which was odd for someone who had just saw their mom fall onto a knife. Once officers went into the home, they found a 12-inch knife with a bloodied 8-inch blade. Witnesses told police that they saw Colin dragging his mom by her hair into the mobile home where she died. Catherine had an autopsy done and revealed that her injuries were non-accidental. Police arrested Colin and he had actually violated a no-contact order in place against his mother. This was put into place because in November of 2023, Colin and his mother got into an argument which led her to take away his gaming privileges, and he got so angry that he threw her to the floor and stomped on her. Colin had claimed he struck his mother in self-defense, but his grandmother was witnessing the whole thing and she stated that the attack was unprovoked. In March of 2024, there was another incident between Colin and his mother which resulted in him going to a mental health facility. On February 5th of this year, the court found Colin not guilty and his public defender argued that his mother, Catherine, was probably suicidal and she was the one who forced Colin to stab her. Colin not only did this to his mother, but he also did it to his father as well. Colin had lived with his father, Charles, in Lincoln County, Oklahoma until 2023. On February 14th of 2023, Colin had called 911 and told the dispatcher that he had fatally shot his father after his father had pulled out a knife on him and threatened him with it. Police had arrested Colin but later dismissed the case, stating that it was due to self-defense. So Colin has unalived both of his parents and has been found not guilty, so what do you think about the case?
One of the most mysterious and cursed places in Arizona is the Superstition Mountains. The Superstition Mountains, located east of Phoenix, are steeped in legend, particularly surrounding a hidden gold mine that has supposedly cursed those who look for it. The story goes that a German prospector, James Waltz, discovered an incredibly rich gold vein in the 1800s. However, he died without revealing its location, and since then, many treasure hunters have vanished or met mysterious deaths while searching for it. Numerous treasure hunters and hikers have gone missing in the mountains, and some have even been found dead under mysterious circumstances. Many bodies are discovered with no signs of struggle, leading to theories about supernatural forces or hidden dangers in the area. Many visitors report glowing orbs, shadow figures, and eerie whispers echoing through the canyons at night. Some claim to have seen ghostly Spanish soldiers or Native American spirits guarding the area at night. The Apache Indians believed that the mountains are home to the thunder god, and some say there's a hidden entrance to the underworld deep within the caves. Even modern treasure hunters have reported freak accidents, strange disappearances, and a feeling of being watched while searching for the lost Dutchman's gold. Whether it's a real curse, dangerous terrain, or something supernatural, the Superstition Mountains remain one of Arizona's most mysterious and feared locations.
People who had instant regret. When this guy went to release the fish that he had just caught back into the water, he forgot which hand was which. The Wisconsin Lottery Organization did an undercover investigation. They brought a winning lottery ticket that won $1 million into the store to see if the worker would be honest, and here's what she said. After, she tried to claim the money for herself, but she got caught. This TV channel called QVC showcases a bunch of different products and they try to be entertaining while they're doing it. But if you want them to try your product on the show, it costs $6,000 per minute. This company wanted their vacuum to be showcased, and let's just say they regretted spending the money because it didn't really work.
Yo, I feel the pain for the dude that threw his phone in the water instead of the fish. There's so many times where I have my phone in my hand or like some garbage, like maybe like some yogurt that I just finished or something, and I'll throw my phone into the garbage instead of the yogurt. I'm just like, dude, why the Yo, I felt it for that dude, man. I felt that.
Life for a disaster movie, this would be the opening scene. This is not supposed to happen. This is a black devil. Well, not really. That's a family name. Specifically, it's a humpback anglerfish, or as most people know, Nemo's paralysis demon. You already know the deal with them. Bioluminescent bacteria means Satan's abandoned goldfish has a built-in fishing lure, and any fish that wants to see the light gets sent to it permanently. Also, if you're curious about the dental work, basically where they live is a forever bird box challenge. So when they do catch a body, having teeth like hypodermic needles means it takes one mistake for them to stamp your fate. Plot armor's the only reason Marlon's son ain't in the system. And living in the world of Ray Charles means they're the opposite of Piggy. They'll swallow things physically bigger than they are. One devil weighing 8 grams was caught with a stomach holding about 12 grams worth of past tense eel. Also, every anglerfish like this is a female. You know where this is going, because the males are 40 times smaller, and the parasite's only purpose is to find a female, bite her, and then literally fuse into her skin. I'm talking about even his blood vessels eventually intersect with hers. And that's just the rest of his life. Bro really becomes a full-time herpy. Or I guess a hempy. It's so twisted, science really thought this living testicle was an entirely different species. Whole time it was Steven Universe on steroids. Now the real question is, why did Hell release one of its drafts unprompted? Remember, their entire game plan revolves around them living in pitch darkness. We've never recorded one in broad daylight like this. Something wrong with Buddy. They have no business perceiving any light that isn't theirs. That is a devil about to die, and if you believe in science, then oh my, the script writers are going wild in 2025.
Back in the saddle of talking about terrifying submechanophobia things, just wait. Stay with me this entire video because it gets crazier as it goes. This is the Aquadom that's in Berlin, and it was in the Radisson Hotel. And yes, that inside of there, that huge column inside of there, that's an elevator. Could you imagine getting in that elevator and getting stuck? This gigantic tank holds over 1 million liters of water and also 1,500 different tropical fish and some dudes scuba diving in around you when you're in the elevator. This sounds like a nightmare, getting stuck in that elevator. I already don't like elevators, but could you imagine being inside this gigantic tank? But also, wait for it, it shattered. Just randomly one day, it decided to just completely break and shatter. All of the 1,500 fish were just scattered everywhere. People were like injured with some glass flying. Luckily, no one lost their lives, but like this, oh my God, could you imagine being in that elevator when it exploded? That sounds like a nightmare. And like here, you can kind of see more structurally what exactly was inside of it. You can better see the elevator. And this was left abandoned for a little bit. It's cleared up now. Apparently the Radisson made it into like a garden, but this was just chilling in there, just completely the hotel abandoned for months. Like, look at this. This is like right after it happened. This is, God. So we have abandoned places, we have submechanophobia, and we have claustrophobia if you want to include the elevator. So, yeah, no. Did you get to see this when it was up and running? How was it? If not, would you have ever gone on this? Because you could not pay me. You could not. I would be going up the stairs. I don't care if I was on the 50th floor.
I'm honestly trying to figure out, what did they do with the fish when the glass broke? Like, did all the fish die, or did they just immediately, like, I know it was not immediate, so I'm not even gonna say that. Or did they, like, over time put the fish into like something else? I feel like some of them fish died. Guaranteed.
Why is this country called Iraq? The region of Mesopotamia has been referred to as Iraq since at least the 7th century AD, during the early Islamic period. The etymology of the name is debated amongst historians, with multiple theories explaining its meaning and roots. Now, one theory suggests that Iraq comes from the Sumerian city of Uruk. Now, Uruk was one of the first great cities of Mesopotamia, and its name may have influenced later Arabic and Persian terms for the region. Now, if you're familiar with the story of Gilgamesh, then you would know that this was the city that Gilgamesh had apparently ruled over. Another theory connects the name to the Middle Persian word Iraq, I hope I said that right, meaning lowlands, which describes Mesopotamia's geography in contrast to the Iranian plateau. Now, the third theory, which if I recall correctly is actually a folk etymology, suggests that Iraq originates from an Arabic root meaning well-watered, referring to the fertile land between the Tigris River and the Euphrates River. During the early Islamic period, Iraq was commonly used to describe the southern and central regions of Mesopotamia. Now, the term distinguished this area from Al-Jazira, the northern region between the two rivers. Now, in modern history, Iraq became an official state in 1921 under British rule, and the name was retained when the country gained full independence in 1932. Isn't that interesting?
This is the truth about hell, and you can take it or leave it. You might even want to go on and scroll, because once you hear this, you're on the hook for it. You'll never be able to say ever again, I never heard that. If you watch this video, yes, you certainly did. Hell is a place, it has a location. It's not physical, it's sub-physical. There are levels here, folks. And you might want to say sub-physical places don't exist. It has to be physical to be a place. No. Is Mario World a sub-physical place? It's certainly not a physical one. Though it's built of physical components, the world itself that is generated is a simulation. And though it might be produced from physical components, the place itself, does it exist? Yes, it does. Mario World exists. It's a place. I can go there as Mario. And it is not the Earth, and it is not physical. It's a sub-physical place that I can go, if you can grasp that concept. If I put VR goggles on, I can go all kind of places None of them are physical. We cannot say we don't understand this concept while we perform it ourselves. But those who lack critical thinking skills will say, you do rely on your physical eyes and your physical ears to experience that non-physical world. Yes, that's because it's so close to this one. So close I can hold it in my hand, the Nintendo Switch, right? And we can expand this concept just a bit. The sky is a place, though there's no ground to stand on. Now, I don't have wings, and I cannot breathe the air up there. But the sky, that first heaven, is so close to the earth, they touch. I can go way up there in a jet with oxygen on, protected from the cold, and experience it with my own eyes. These ones. Same with the ocean. I can get in a submarine or a diving suit or something. I can go down there where I don't belong and experience that place with my own eyes. It's so close, right? So we can grasp the concept of getting in an artificial body like a jet or a submarine, or even putting on some parts to our body, right? Like goggles and a breather and a suit and some fins to go swimming. In that same way, I want you to understand, let this concept scale a little further. On Earth, in this physical realm here, this is the jet or the submarine, this body. I have to add a body to this if I want to go way up in the sky or down in the ocean. A body appropriate for the sky or for the ocean, whereas this one is appropriate for the Earth. I'm saying all this because these ideas are intuitive. You know these things if you can grasp what I'm saying here. We all already know you need a sky body to go up into the sky or a water body to go down into the water. I can jump into the sky, but I can't stay there. I can dive down into the water, but I'm gonna have to come back up. Hell is a place, and a real one. It is a bottomless pit, but it has sides, and so it's got levels, as is depicted in this drawing here. Now I'm gonna tell you guys a fact, whether you believe in a globe or not. There is a bottomless pit in this equation. You can see it right here. If you know what you're looking at there with the toroidal vortex of magnetism. Earth's magnetic field tells us that without a doubt, there is a relative bottomless pit in the center of the Earth. It's right there. Relatively, because the Earth is a toroid, it requires a black hole to exist. Not the astronomical scale of a black hole, but the bottomless pit. Every toroid has a bottomless pit. Every toroid has a black hole and a white hole, and Earth is toroidal. There it is. You can see the toroid. Let me show you this again. This is a toroid. The Earth is a toroid. Here is the present plane of reality. Every toroid requires a white hole ascending into heaven and a black hole descending into hell. When I tell you fellers that hell is a guarantee, it's real. It's even in the math that it exists. Hit that from a different angle, didn't I? Now I'll tell you what the Bible says. Bible says the life is in the blood. Do you know how long it takes somebody to actually die on this earth? I mean, actually. I mean, sure, their body might not be animated. They're not kicking around on the surface anymore, walking around in it. This thing is just laying somewhere, right? Y'all ever heard of DNA? When somebody dies, they certainly lose use of this body on this plane of existence. But where do they go? Do you know DNA has a half-life of 521 years? That means half of it dies every 521 years. You ever heard of a sizable infinity where if you're only going halfway to a point every time you move, you will never get there? Everyone is so concerned with classical physics shape theory. It's 2025. Y'all don't know about quantum mechanics yet? Y'all don't know about quantum theory? Quantum information theory? Yeah, the shapes might count, but they carry quantum information that's not apparent in the shape. When we talk about life and death, we forget the quantum entirely, for some reason. Knowing that the classical everything is underpinned by the quantum everything. Process is too deep for you to even understand. But we're so mesmerized by what we can see. Don't let anyone tell you that the Bible says that hell is merely the grave. Jesus was real clear in Luke 16. Don't let anyone confuse you over the Bible words Hades, Sheol, or Gehenna. Acts 2 in the Greek quotes Psalm 16 in the Hebrew. Right there we have the Greek and the Hebrew. Thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. And then Jesus uses that same word, Hebrew, Greek, same word, to describe a man burning in hell in Luke chapter 16. There is no debate that hell is a place. People go there. and suffer. Jesus went to hell to preach to the spirits who were disobedient in the time of the flood, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace, like Daniel in the lion's den. Hell had no effect on Jesus. He created hell, and then he went there to preach to the disobedient spirits. And then he walked right out of there and brought people with him because he had the keys, a sinless life. The keys he himself designed, that the gates of hell did not prevail against the kingdom of God Almighty. Now hell was prepared for the devil and his angels. And nobody seems to know that the soul of a man is attached to a spirit in this place and must be. And that there are two spirits. There is the spirit of God and there is the spirit of this world, and his name is Satan. And whoever your soul is attached to, well, that's your father. And though God did not make hell for humans, humans do inherit the inheritance of their father. And so if you belong to Satan when you die, you're going to hell prepared for the devil and his angels. You are one of his angels in that case of inheritance by inheritance, as opposed to one of God's angels by inheritance. And I'm talking the body you're gonna inherit. Just like at one time, you were a sperm, you had a body, you were swimming to your mother's womb, you died in the egg in the zinc explosion after she let you in to that place. The egg is a place like unto heaven or hell. Ye must be born again, Jesus has told us all clearly. That means you need a father in the next life. Did you know? Just like you had one in this life, just like we can all see and observe with our own, you need a father to be born. You want to be born again, you're gonna need another father. Good news, we all have one. Bad news, God is not the father of all the humans. By default, that is Satan, the God of this world, lowercase g. And that's the case for every human ever born except for Jesus, who is God manifest in the flesh. His father was not Adam. All the rest of us inherited a sinful nature from the fall. Not that we are born with sin, but we are born with a sinful nature. And when we come of age, and our desires with us, we will be carried off of our own desires into temptation that leads to sin, that leads to death. We inherited that nature. We will do such a thing. All of us do. Sin, eventually, when we come to maturity. This body doesn't go to hell, it goes into the grave. And they dug their graves as pits, and they put people in the side of them, and this is symbolic of hell. Very symbolic and literal. But perception is a real tricky thing, you see. Consciousness is a real funny thing, in that it's not well understood as of yet. And thinking that perception goes away when you lose this body's ability to perceive this realm, that is a bold assumption, very bold. After leaving your DNA all over this earth, think about how many haircuts you've had. And that you might actually be here somewhere long after you're gone. Your mother's womb was a place where you changed bodies to be born again. If God is your father, holy Jerusalem above, the holy city of God in paradise, is your mother, a place for you to change bodies. If your father is Satan, hell is your mother's womb for the next one, a place where you're gonna go to change bodies. And bodies come with perception and consciousness. And we already know that life continues after death, and that reincarnation is absolutely real. Why, we've all already done it ourselves once. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know for a fact is true. Heaven is a womb, hell is a womb. Depends on who your father is, doesn't it? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed is his name. It's Jesus Christ. There's far more to this story than you could even imagine, though I've given you a clear glimpse of it all here. Hell will go into the eternal lake of fire in the judgment.
That's definitely an interesting perspective on what hell could be, but you never really know because, for one, we are not there. I mean, you could go based off of the Bible, but you still never really know. Let me know your guys' thoughts about that in the comments.
In 1974, a group of scientists sent a message into space, written in binary code and transmitted using the most powerful radio telescope of the time. It was aimed at reaching intelligent alien life. This message, known as the Arecibo message, was made up of 1,679 binary digits, the language of the universe, carefully designed to convey key information about civilization on Earth. This transmission was never really meant to get a reply. It was a ceremonial demonstration of our technological progress, an invitation to the universe a reply, if any, was expected to take tens of thousands of years. But in 2001, just 29 years later, we got a response. A crop formation near the Chilbolton radio telescope in England. It was a reply to the Arecibo message, but with striking differences. In the Arecibo message, we began with the numbers 1 through 10 written in binary, a key for decoding the rest of the message. In the reply, the numbering system remains consistent, showing that whoever or whatever responded understood our numeric language. Next, the Arecibo message listed the atomic numbers of elements essential to life on Earth: hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus. Carbon being at the top, as it is the fundamental building block of all organic matter on Earth. The reply replaced carbon with silicon, suggesting a silicon-based form of life. The Arecibo message included the structure of human DNA, showing the double helix and the number of base pairs. The reply altered this, adding an additional strand to the DNA. We included a figure of a human along with our average height and Earth's population at the time, just over 4 billion. The reply replaced the human figure with their own. They also included their population, 21 billion, 5 times Earth's at the time. The Arecibo message depicted our solar system, clearly highlighting Earth as the source of the transmission. The reply depicted a different solar system, showing the responders inhabiting 3 objects, 2 planets, and a mysterious third structure or body. Finally, the Arecibo message included a schematic of the telescope used to send the transmission. Whoever replied clearly understood this, replacing it with something entirely different, perhaps a glimpse into their own technology. Now let's take a moment to consider where the reply to the Arecibo message was found physically: the Chilbolton radio telescope. Here you can see what became known as the Arecibo answer, etched into the fields near the telescope. It gets even weirder. Remember the shape at the bottom of the Arecibo answer? Well, just a year earlier, in almost the exact same spot near the Chilbolton radio telescope, this formation appeared. Is this crop formation a representation of their technology? Perhaps a method of communicating through space? Unfortunately, we don't know for sure. But let's rewind for a moment. If you were paying close attention earlier, you might have noticed a strange formation near the Arecibo answer. From the ground, this formation left people puzzled. It seemed chaotic, just lines and shapes with no meaning. But when viewed from above, it's haunting, almost unnatural. Scientists and skeptics alike were left with the same question. What does it mean? And if someone or something is trying to communicate, why not speak to us directly? Well, they did. In August 2002, near Crabwood, England, almost exactly a year after the appearance of the Arecibo answer, this appeared. A face definitely not human. And similarly to how binary was used to communicate in the Arecibo answer, this large disk was filled with it. To create something this intricate overnight without being noticed seems almost impossible. Everybody was left with one question: what did it say? Using ASCII as standard coding system for electronic communication, a group of researchers decoded the binary message on the disk. The message read, Now, crop circles aren't isolated to one place. Thousands have appeared across nearly every continent around the globe. There's even evidence of them dating back centuries. In 1678, a pamphlet titled The Mowing Devil described a farmer who awoke to find his crops flattened in neat circular patterns. He believed it was the work of the devil himself because no mortal could have done it so perfectly. If they've been appearing for so long and across so many places, then who or what is behind them? Well, in 1991 we would supposedly get an answer. 2 retirees in their 60s claimed they were the masterminds behind all of it: Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley. According to them, it started as a prank back in the 1970s. The two claimed that all they needed to make a crop circle was a wooden plank with some rope and a simple piece of wire.
And you could center this through this ring, walk straight towards it, and lo and behold, you got the lovely straight line that you could wish for.
Doesn't look very straight to me. Major media picked up the story and suddenly it was everywhere. News headlines declared the mystery solved, and just like that, the world followed suit. No need for doubt or questions, just two guys with a wooden plank and some rope playing a prank. Well, if you've got more than two brain cells to rub together, you might start asking a few questions, because let's be real, there are more holes in their story than a crop circle itself. Doug and Dave demonstrated their circle-making technique, but their results? Sloppy at best. They were uneven and out of alignment every time. Even back then, crop formations were unbelievably precise. During another demonstration for a news crew, Doug tried to recreate a circle, but it ended up twice as big as intended before he finally gave up. Their story wasn't much better. At first they said they started making crop formations in 1976. Or, wait, was it 1975? Maybe 1978. They never quite came to a conclusion. Some formations appeared in fields without any footpaths. So how did Doug and Dave explain this? They claimed they pole vaulted their way into the fields. Pole vaulted. Two retirees sneaking into fields at night with wooden planks and Olympic-level acrobatics. Two retirees in England couldn't possibly be behind all of them, but they did inspire some copycats. Soon, man-made formations started to mix in with the unexplained ones. So, is there a scientific way to tell the difference between a man-made crop circle and a genuine one? Well, yes, there's actually multiple ways. Spotting a man-made crop circle is easier than you'd think. Sometimes it's as simple as spotting a footpath leading into the field. Other times, crop circle makers use tram lines to conceal their movements. To separate a hoax from something genuine, you have to examine the plants themselves. In man-made formations, the stalks are typically crushed or broken at the base, damaged by tools like planks. These plants show visible bruising and cracks, with the ground appearing messy and flowers mashed into the soil. The damage is usually one-sided, reflecting the plank's point of contact. These creases caused by the planks are so pronounced that the stalk can be bent. Genuine formations tell a completely different story. The pattern flows seamlessly like water, with the stalks often layered intricately, even braided in some cases. The plants in genuine formations aren't crushed or broken. Instead, they bend gently at the base, continuing to grow at a slight angle. Remarkably, after just a few days, many of them straighten back up as if nothing happened. In 2005, a remarkable formation was discovered with its flowers completely undamaged and somehow gently laid down, something not achievable with tools like planks. We know this because that same year a group of crop circle makers attempted to recreate this intricate design. From an aerial perspective, their effort appeared commendable. However, on the ground, the man-made version was a mess with plants visibly crushed and damaged. In 2003, researchers discovered a crop formation where parts of the design weren't flattened but bent just a few inches from the top. The plants formed intricate flowing patterns that are described as resembling the grooves of a record. Another sign of a genuine crop circle is found in the behavior of wheat, especially in the late summer. Naturally, as wheat ripens and turns golden, the kernels grow heavier, causing the stalks to bend under the weight. Once bent, they become stiff and nearly impossible to straighten. But the wheat within a crop circle tells a different story. The kernels are somehow straightened. Even more puzzling, they resist being bent back into position, defying the natural process. How can something like this be explained scientifically? Radiation. Wheat stalks are separated by structures called apical nodes. In the 1990s, biophysicist William Levengood studied plants from crop circles and found their nodes were often ruptured, a phenomenon linked to microwave radiation. Microwave energy works by heating water, sugar, and fats just like your microwave at home. In the case of crop circles, the energy heats the water inside the nodes, turning it to steam and causing them to expand or burst, much like popcorn. You cannot fake something that occurs internally in the plant. Now, even if you've remained skeptical through all this evidence, how would you possibly explain this? Ghost circles. These are crop circle patterns that remain visible even after the entire field has been ploughed. Sometimes they linger for months. In some cases, they persist for up to 2 years before finally fading. This doesn't happen with all crop formations, and nobody knows exactly why. But in the early 2000s, a study analysed crop circles across southern England and revealed that 98% of genuine formations appeared over chalk aquifers, which are known to influence the natural electromagnetic environment around them. On Sunday, July 7th, 1996, this formation appeared just feet away from one of the world's most famous landmarks, Stonehenge. Dubbed the Stonehenge Surprise, it's one of the most intricate formations ever recorded. Look at how close it is to Stonehenge, an area that's constantly under the eyes of tourists, guards and traffic even during the night. Stonehenge has 24/7 security, yet the guards reported seeing absolutely nothing unusual that night. In 2001, another jaw-dropping formation was discovered, the Milk Hill Spiral. This design consists of 409 perfectly formed circles, spanning 1,000 feet across and covering over 700,000 square feet. There are no visible flaws anywhere in the formation. What makes it weirder is that England's summer nights are short, and the night the spiral appeared, there were only about 4 hours of darkness. If that wasn't enough, it rained that same night the formation appeared. If it really was a hoax, you'd expect muddy footpaths all over, but there weren't any. The spiral was left untouched. Many of the most famous crop circles are inspired by fractal patterns, such as the Julia set, the Mandelbrot set, and formations that incorporate the golden ratio or Fibonacci numbers. One example is this formation. It confused everybody, until a mathematician realized it was a visual representation of pi. The arcs of the formation represent the digits of pi up to 10 decimal places. It even includes a decimal point and 3 circles to signify the number's infinite continuation. But then there's also formations that at first appear to follow basic geometric design, until some researchers began to wonder that instead of looking at the designs, what if we should be listening instead? This formation resembles a cymatic pattern, a shape that forms when sound waves vibrate a material like water or sand. When we take 2D crop circle designs and render them into 3D models, their complexity and intricacy become even more apparent. For instance, the Milk Hill Spiral from 2001, when visualized in 3 dimensions, unfolds into a torus shape. Now, this video I'm about to show you is one of the few I genuinely believe to be authentic. Supposedly debunked, I could prove otherwise, but I have my reasons for leaving it here as is. Filmed in 1996, it speaks for itself. Enjoy.
Dude, that is crazy. Whoever thought maybe we should be listening to these patterns instead of actually just looking at them, that's like a really creative perspective and smart way to look at it, because I'm like, those look exactly like what patterns would really look like if you, I don't know if you guys ever did it before, but I've seen these videos where people put like sand or maybe some water on like a surface and they play like a specific frequency and like a pattern comes out of it, and that's really cool in my opinion. But nah, that's interesting. I wonder what that's all about. Remember, we're trying to get to 2,000 likes this video. Hopefully those aliens are actually here to help us and not take us out, because, you know what I'm saying, we're already going through a lot. Apparently an asteroid's supposed to hit us in like 7 years, so let's hope those boys are here for to help us out.
Thank you all for watching this here video.